So we've got a lot of Islandora websites over the last, I guess, more than a decade. The Robertson Library has been building out our digital collections um, under an umbrella mostly that we call the Island Archives. And you'll find a lot of our names start with Island this and Island that. They refer to, of course, Prince Edward Island or Ebigwit, its Mi'kmaq name. Um, we have a number of the sites on here have been migrated, but not all of them. So while Island Archives has, it's a pretty big fold, we're chipping away at getting all of it over to Islandora 2. And so today we're going to talk about 4 sites that we've migrated. Island Lives, which is books, Island Imagined, which is maps, Island Scholar, our institutional repository, and Island Voices, our oral history collection. And so they're all different sites within a multi-site, and I'll go into that in a second. We also are trying to homogenize things a lot more than we had before. We had wildly different themes and wildly different approaches to how we dealt with Islandora content and Drupal content, and we're trying to make that a little more sane in this version. So we have the website that we're working on right now is Legislative Documents Online, which are the journals of the Legislative Assembly for Prince Edward Island. And it is very much under construction and will be for a little while, but hopefully it'll be up within a couple weeks or so. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the choices that we made when we were setting up our Islandora. As much as we can, we wanted them to have a common theme, and you'll see that our institutional repository was the big exception to this. We designed something very custom for that because we had a lot of custom features that we needed to implement. As much as we could, we actually tried not even to make, we tried to make our collections within a single site. Now, a lot of these ones that I've mentioned are kind of flagship sites for us. You know, we registered Island Lives, Island Imagined, Island Newspapers, and they've got kind of a brand identity that we wanted to keep. So we've kept those as sites, but we put them in a multi-site configuration. And early in Islandora 2, we were a little dubious about the maturity of the multi-site architecture, but we're finding that it's working very well for us right now. And it allows us to have a shared code base. So we don't need to constantly be installing, the modules that add custom features that we want across all of our sites. We decided to have a shared microservices server. So all of our sites use the same server that does all of the crayfish microservices. And we decided not to have Fedora, which was a big discussion. And after a lot of deliberation and pros and cons, and actually we looked very closely at Seth Shaw's presentation at Islandora Con about why we're using Fedora and what is it really doing for us. We decided that the benefit wasn't worth the extra infrastructure and management of various other components to the integration. So we got rid of it. So we are a Drupal site. So the first one we're going to talk about is Island Lives, our books or community histories. And this site flows down to showing some featured books and featured images. We are using books. Oh, this is a randomized view, so it's showing very different things every time. Let's open Freetown Past and Present. So we're using the Mirador viewer for all of our books. And it does take a little while sometimes to warm up that cache, but there's our thumbnails and there's our main image. So in this is standard Islandora. There's nothing particularly new here, although we do have the ability to search within a book. And so the list of results comes up here, although it is largely repetitive. And at the moment, there seems to be a JavaScript error that it's not jumping me to the page that the result is on, but normally that happens. And then normally that will also highlight what you see in the viewer. But we're having some issues with that right now. So we have our metadata, which always takes a bit of cleaning. It's really great that we can have like long fields of content. This one I don't think uses the formatted text, but others do. And we have, custom fields such as our view this item in the Robertson Library catalog. So if you want to take this book out in person, you can find it here and see where to go get that. We have the citation generator on here. Oh, I didn't test this out before showing it. I should have done that. And I think we have a problem with a theme JavaScript thing right now that is messing with every other bit of JavaScript on our site. So please forgive me for that right now. And for some reason in the original site, we had extracted the images from all of our books as separate Islandora objects. So we called them figures. And we didn't really want to lose that work that we had done, so we kept the figures in this book. And unlike in the previous iteration of the site, we're actually able to display them really easily just by generating a view. So these you can kind of look through and see what pictures there are. And then if you go into one of them, you can see it alone. If you use the breadcrumbs, you can jump back to the page that it's on. And then again, with the breadcrumbs, you can jump back to the book. So that was a cool little way that we have of hierarchically navigating our site. We have some neat features where if you look for the Catholic, did I spell that right? I can't see it because it's underneath the, here we go. The Roman Catholic census. So a lot of the books that we had were either like part of a monographic series or volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, or part 1, part 2, or a redoing of a book that was done like a previous history of a specific part of the island. And so we devised a way to show related works. And we did this using a common linking title. So this is probably Roman Catholic Census of Charlottetown. That is the linking title, both for the 1878-1879 version and the 1886 version. So that way you can jump around between related books. We have the last, I think, feature that I wanted to show off, perhaps, was the map. So you can see the books are have taxonomy terms for geographic locations. The taxonomy terms for geographic locations have coordinates, and those coordinates are here on the map. So if you zoom in, the little dots go away. So there's Freetown, and you can click on title to get back to the book. Once we are on one of these, if we go to, oh, okay. So if we were to look for Freetown on here, we have a little glossary view. Freetown PEI is shown here on its taxonomy term page. That's just rendering the coordinates there, and it lists the book or books that are associated with it. We also took a while to make a hierarchical geographic taxonomy here. So you can jump back up to lot 25, which is the district, the area that surrounds it. Lots have a particular history in PEI when they were dividing up the land to give to settlers. The lots were how it was done. And then you can jump back up to the county, etc. So if I go back into full screen, this isn't full screen enough. So some of the features, we have Mirador Viewer with HOCR. Oh, I didn't show downloadable media, but we have a view that you can download the original file, the thumbnail, etc. Oh, in behind the scenes, we used Entity Browser to be able to select member of, instead of just having to know the PID or the exact name of the book that it was a member of. You have like an actual view that you can use. I don't want to take too much time because it's already 1/4 after and more. Oh yeah, for a little story, we had our thumbnails used to be just the like TN data stream, but we found that they were too small. And when they were being displayed here on the front page, they were looking very grainy. So we went in and selected the original file, sorry, the service files to use as thumbnails instead, so that we have a higher resolution thumbnail. And what we also did was, because a lot of the books that we digitized were bound by the library, so they have like a very nondescript dark green cover or like brown cover or something. And showing that doesn't really show anything useful. But if you open up a few pages, you might see like what was the original cover of the soft cover book that we had bound. So we selected those and we did that using Media Browser, which was really useful. So sorry, Media Library. And we edited the view so that it automatically opened and showed you these are the service files associated with the children of this book. Which of these children do you want to use? And they were ordered like from the first one to the last one, so you could find the first good thumbnail. That glossary view, thank you, Carrie Gordon. Your blog post from a while ago that explained how to make an A to Z glossary view for the place names was super useful. I can't find it anymore. I'm not sure if you've taken it down. And so we have our places list and our book map. Okay. Oh, I did want to mention that we had to use both geolocation and geofield, which are kind of the two ecosystems of geo modules within Drupal, because geolocation was really great for pinpoint locations, and it's required by various modules that we're using, while geofield is more flexible in letting you define a polygon shape using the WKT or well-known text widget. And that looks like this polygon with a lot of numbers after it. Very long. It took me a little while in QGIS to figure out how to do this and how to simplify them, because the original shapes that I had were too long for the Drupal field to fit, but I was able to simplify them in QGIS and then bring the modified polygon back into Drupal. All right, speaking of maps, Island Imagined is our map archive. We've got some cool things. So this will remind me of what to show. Interactive timeline, taxonomy terms, single solar fields. We had to do some cool stuff for uploading large files and mods. All right, well, in Island Imagined, we've got a number of different ways for you to access our content. So there's some like major atlases that we have, as well as one-off maps that you can browse by type or by where they are. So for instance, Meacham's Atlas is one of those that we're looking at. And it's got all of its pages listed here, in order, although we also have the ability to search within this collection. So there's a lot of front matter in this particular one. But if you go into any particular map, of course, it shows up in Mirador with lovely zoomability. These files are rather large, especially, I don't know how big these atlases were, but sometimes the maps that we were scanning were multiple feet by multiple feet. And so that resulted in a fairly large file. And Alan's done some really great work for us to be able to get large files into Islandora by that we can like SCP them in or copy them into the server however we want, position them in our public files directory, and then create a media out of that. So that's super potentially useful for these kinds of files. Each of our taxonomy terms in here links back to search, which was something that we took a while to set up, but definitely worth it. And we have all of our, of course, facets and things on the right-hand side. Facets, I just wanted to mention, like, are a bit time-consuming to set up because for every single facet, you need to make sure that it's configured to behave the way that you want, whether that's like when you click on one of them, it will limit it to just show this one that you've selected if there are no others that appear with that particular one. And of course, that's independent for province and county and all these other things. Yeah, a lot of these maps had insets. So I'm not seeing any in particular right here, but you know, a lot of atlases or like this one. There might be metadata about the area covered by and scale of the inset map. There was also a lot within the atlases. All of our mods records had information about the atlas as well. So we had to make sure that those were, even if we didn't want to index or put all that information into fields on the object, we wanted to make sure that it was indexable. And so we got that into the Solr index so that you can search for things within the parent, within the inset, and within other things. Yeah, let me go back here. So because we're doing this, we have this Island Archives umbrella. I'll talk a little bit about our goals for a single Solr index. We want to be able to do just one search and find stuff across all these sites, whether it's an oral history or a map or whatever. So we're using Dublin Core for that because it's a nice standard that, you know, has a lot of great fields that you would probably want to be searching on, but isn't overly descriptive. And so I just want to double check what we're doing here. For the maps site for Island Imagined, we are replicating Mods' hierarchical geographic. So each of these maps is tagged with continent, country, province, state, etc. All the way down to city, section, island, if that's applicable. But those are different fields. And when we're searching in a single Solr index, we really just want to put that into DC coverage. Now, Drupal does have ways to put multiple field content into a single aggregated field. However, if the content is a taxonomy term, it indexes the ID of the taxonomy term and not the title of it, which is, of course, the term that we want. So again, Alan Stanley did some work on making a little module that hooks into our Solr indexing and allows you to specify which fields to index together. And that's really great for us to be able to have our single Dublin Core coverage field, as well as have split out, of course, all these different fields in our actual metadata. All right, our institutional repository. This one has a lot of really cool features in it. I'm not sure, I hope I'll be able to cover them all. First of all, we use LDAP login. I don't know that I can show this off, but if you are a grad student or faculty at the university, you can just log in with your university credentials and it will create for you an account, link it up to a profile if there is a profile for you that exists already, and it'll show you a nice little Scholar dashboard when you log in. So let me see if I can just do that. So here's what our scholar profile looks like. Each of our scholars, I haven't mentioned this yet, but our scholars have profiles. So if they have a photograph, it'll be here, and then it'll have a little bit of their biographical information, a text biography, often containing their credentials. As I'm logged in as an administrator, I can see their legacy PID and this flag about our integration with the UPEI website. But normal users don't see that box. And if this person had citations, then you'd be able to see them as well. So I'll just pull myself up. Yeah, we used to have a link to right here. There was works by this person. That's not showing up right now, and it might be because I'm logged in, or it might be for other reasons. But all of our content kind of falls into generally faculty staff stuff or student stuff, which includes theses and dissertations, but also honors projects, Masters of Nursing projects, Masters of Education projects, and other things. So if we were looking into a faculty or staff work, often it'll have a DOI. This one doesn't seem to have a DOI. It has a list of related scholars. So these are the people whose profiles are linked up to this particular work. We have a check at UPEI button, which I believe looks up based on the DOI. And an error occurred while loading the PDF. That's really unfortunate. It could be just that I'm logged in, or it could be that, I don't know. For our student works, these should show up. There we go. We have a viewer right in there, which allows you also to download the PDF. And we've recently changed our genre vocabulary from using a very custom kind of off-the-cuff vocabulary that we made up based on the content that we had, to the standard COAR genre or resource types vocabulary. And so that is an ongoing project. We have done the majority of the switch over, but there are, of course, a few things, stragglers and outliers that don't fit really nicely into that taxonomy, that based on what we've categorized them as, like unknown or webinar or something, we have to take a look at them individually and see where they fit into this new vocabulary. So we're trying to tidy things up. Yeah, we have, maybe I will show this off. So if we, even on the search page, if we do have a, file uploaded, then we can download that directly from this page. And if there is a DOI, it looks like we're doing some really weird filtering there. PDF. Okay, so for one of these, for instance, if we didn't have that PDF there, then we could use the check at UPEI, which is our resolver. So it takes you straight to a proxied link to this particular publication, which allows us access. All right, just, DOI import. One of the logged in features is that we can add a publication via a DOI. So our assistant who adds the scholarly content really appreciated this. Could just type in the DOI for the article, check which collection they wanted to add it to, and then it would pull the information from doi.org and pre-fill a form. So it's already got a number of fields filled out. That saves a lot of work. What else was there here? Oh yes, we also, of course, have the citations. So for any of these, here it's working, I'm not sure why. You can change the style of the citation and it generates it right there for you. There's a button to copy to the clipboard. One thing that we used that we thought would be seamless, but ended up having a little bit of a caused a bit of a kerfuffle, is that for dissertations, there is always a signed like licensing agreement that allows the Robertson Library to display this thesis online for educational and personal use. And because it has the signature of the author on it, we like to keep that private. So we upload it as a separate media that stores files to the private file system. And we kept those unpublished and don't allow the public to see unpublished media. So that on its own works. Um, the problem came when we enabled the embargoes module, which is a super useful module, and we were excited about having it on this site. It allows admins to set up a timed or indefinite embargo and to allow certain IP addresses to bypass the embargo and other things. And it relies on a module that's called Islandora Hierarchical Access. Both of these were done by Discovery Garden, and great work. It's just that we happened to find a side case where things didn't quite work as we expected. The cool thing about the module is that if you can't see the node, like the object, then you can't see its media. What we didn't realize was that the converse is also true, that if you can see the node, then you can see the media, even if it's unpublished. So there was an interesting day and a half where we had all hands on deck trying to figure out what was going on. It was very quickly solved, and we got our stuff back hidden again. But one of the things that we have tried to do was, and I don't think I'll show one right now, but we have, if this node or if a media that's attached to this were unpublished, then there would be a little warning banner that shows up saying only administrators should be able to see this. This is, unpublished and would not be visible to the public. Strangely, Drupal makes that like visible if you're a node. I don't know if you've seen an unpublished node, like the background is kind of light red, and it's obvious that it's something's different with it, that it's unpublished. But media and taxonomy terms have no such things. So we got around that by extending the node is unpublished context condition, so that there's also a media is published and taxonomy term is published context condition. And then using those with contexts, we have it render a block that shows that notice. So that just helps the administrators understand what they're looking at and make sure that we don't accidentally publish something that shouldn't be unpublished, because the workflow, there's not a very easy workflow to say that in Drupal, this particular media type should never be published, must stay unpublished all the time. That's not a thing that Drupal on its own lets us do. We also have HTML in titles so that if there are Latin names of animals or other things, those can be emphasized. We also have HTML in, I'm just gonna randomly choose one. abstracts, nope, not seeing it here. But if for abstracts, we find that there are a lot, especially in the sciencey fields like chemistry and engineering and things, where we have equations that need to be rendered. And so we now have the ability to do that using the MathJax library. So mathematics, mathematical and computational sciences. I'm just opening one at random, hoping that it doesn't. Sorry for that. But we do have that ability to render things. One thing that one side effect that it caused is that in MathJax with this library enabled, it was very easy to enable. It uses a CDN, so we didn't even have to download anything. But when it's installed, then it uses the $ as a delimiter. So if you want to insert mathy stuff, you put $ your mathy stuff, and then another $. Now we have a lot of people who will write in their abstracts, something, especially in business, $ number of dollars, blah, 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 another $, more number of dollars. And it was rendering everything between those $ as mathy math, and it didn't look very good. So there was we created a view of places where $ were used, and then went through each of them and made sure that it was escaped properly where it needed to be. All right, I'll skip over some of the stuff. Island Voices is pretty cool. It uses the one thing that I wanted to show off about Island Voices was the Able Player integration, which was from UTSC. So if we go into one of our oral histories collections and select an oral history, maybe not that one, maybe we'll go to the lecture series. Here we go. If we have a web VTT transcript, it shows below, and it is interactive, so it can skip you to the point in that in the audio or video where that person is talking about that thing. So these aren't exact transcripts. We only had like summary transcripts, but they work out pretty well. If where we don't have a summary transcript, but if we do have kind of just a text-based transcript that's not encoded in WebVTT, then we have that kind of listed below the metadata. But we really appreciated the work that was done on this Able Player integration. And it works pretty well, except that it's one key point with Able Player is that it links its transcripts up in a very different way than standard Islandora links its transcripts up. So you need to make sure that you load your transcripts as a separate media. And then in the media that you want to display, whether that's your service file or your original file, in that media, you need to link to your Able Player captions and then select the media that contains the correct captions. So yeah, there was some more custom work done on that here to make sure that that was could be linked up really easily if you have like for this particular node, the associated media would be easier to link up. All right, I've talked for long enough. Thank you all for listening. I want to say that we'll have a lot more sites available up in the future. And if you have questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'm Rosie Faive or rlefaive@upei.ca. And of course, you can also find me on Slack and everywhere else.